everyone, and welcome to the Doc's Huddle, your gateway to an in-depth connection between sports medicine and the latest events in sports, fantasy, and betting. Today's show is brought to you by the Health and Wellness Depot. Unlock the power of well-being. I'm Dr. Mikey B. With me, as always, Dr. MJB, the legend, and CJ, the sports enthusiast. I'd like to give a quick shout-out to our very own CJ, the sports enthusiast, who will be turning 30, the big 30, in just a few hours. All right. Yep. You know it. So got to get that out there. We've been off the air for a few weeks now in preparation for today's show, as today is the long-awaited Doc's Huddle NFL mock draft. We had a very successful one last year, and we're very excited to bring you today's show.
My favorite sporting event of the year. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think the viewers will love it. So let's jump right into it.
I could not agree more. All right.
Fans are either so excited or heartbroken.
Listen, this is very true. This is also the time of year that brings the most hope. And even if you weren't high on a prospect prior to the draft, if he's selected by your team, you become very high and confident on that gentleman, hoping that he turns into something. We know no one does that better than the legend himself, Dr. MJB. All right. So with that being said, what were you going to say, Mike?
Oh, I was gonna say that part. Without further ado, the 2025 NFL Draft is officially open. The Tennessee Titans are now on the clock.
All right. Well, as the Tennessee Titans general manager, this is going to be a tough one. Let me see here. What do I think I want to do with the number one pick? Gents, this wasn't a difficult one. I have to say, quite easy. Didn't need to take up much of my time. Listen, I've had many discussions with different players over the offseason until I found my guy. And at that point, I decided to cancel all private workouts with other quarterbacks because once the gentleman from the University of Miami showed up at my door, I knew he was going to lead the team to my team to victory. Nashville got their guy. Tennessee Titans select quarterback Cam Ward.
Okay. That's the obvious choice right now. I'm just wondering if there's any chance that Tennessee does not go quarterback with number one, but it seems like it's a clear-cut thing that they're going to do at this point.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think it's going any other direction other than Cam Ward.
I agree. Well, with that being said, number 2 on the clock, we have the Cleveland Browns.
So
different things. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think that the Cleveland Browns here, I think that they got some serious. They have a serious choice to make here. I know that they're moving on from Deshaun Watson, but personally, I don't think that taking quarterback at number 2 here is the right play. What do you gentlemen think?
Well, I know what I'm doing as a general manager right now for the Cleveland Browns, so I'll let MJB chime in before I make my selection.
Nah, I'm not. It's not a strong quarterback class. I think you can wait, considering you would have a high pick in the second round. Even if you wanted to, you could use that pick to kind of leverage yourself back into the first and maybe get a quarterback. I don't think that this quarterback class is strong enough to take another one outside of Cam Ward. So, yeah, I would shy away from that and look at best player available, honestly.
I completely agree.
I agree. And with that being said, Cleveland Browns are taking Abdul Carter, opposite side Myles Garrett, for trying to make the best pass rush in the NFL, and I don't see why not.
Yeah. How do you not love the pick? I'm as a Giants fan, I'm praying that he falls to number 3.
Yeah.
This is where you mentioned heartbreak. First one.
But
happens real quick.
I mean, how do you not do that? Opposite side Myles Garrett, you make such a big impact on that defensive line.
Yeah. He's on the Dr. Mikey B big board. He is numero uno, the best player in the draft. You cannot go wrong. Sure thing, injuries aside.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
All right.
If only the If only the draft will go this fast on draft night, right?
Yeah.
Listen, couple teams, you guys know.
Yeah, it's gonna slow up here as things get interesting, but
Yeah,
let's see it. The New York Giants are now on the clock.
Listen, in honor of having the third pick in our NFL mock draft, I had to represent New York Giants jersey here. This is Odell Beckham jersey. We got it for a steal down when we're in Miami, so absolutely love that.
Absolutely. Better times to spend the Giants knew how to win.
Right. Team
needs
needs quarterback, O-line, D-line, linebacker, wide receiver. Listen, I'm not going to overthink this. I think I get it.
That's all. That's all. Those are the only needs they have.
Yeah, they're
that we have listed. So for me, I am going to.
What are we thinking here, Chris? What do you think that they should do as Mike makes his final selection? What are you thinking?
Listen, I am not going to overthink this. I think
Giants are
we have to
now to keep their jobs. I'm not telling you they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but they need to win now, a better record. So by taking a quarterback this season, you already have Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. I don't see it happening this early. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised. They could do many things, but in terms of win now, yeah, I think they got to go with best player available. And I believe that would be Travis Hunter because Abdul Carter was off the board, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think at this point, I agree. I think that this should be the pick, but we'll see what our friend, the legend over there, has to say about it.
Okay, so with that being said, with the third pick in the NFL 2025 draft, the New York Giants select wide receiver and cornerback Travis Hunter. Get help on both sides of the ball, baby.
I think so too.
At this point, you have to go that route.
I'm just curious. Taking him. Does that mean to you? Is he going to be a corner or a wideout? You can't say he's going to be both. Like, what's his main thing going to be?
If I'm the Giants and I'm taking him, his main thing is going to be cornerback, and I'm going to use him for sub packages on offense.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly how I would use him.
Yeah, I think that that's the best way to use him. However, I did find it interesting that some reporters actually think that if the one team that he'll actually play more offense than defense is the New York Giants. And the reason being is that they did have a cornerback signing in the offseason, and really they're just so desperate for offensive production that you might see him playing more on the offensive side of the ball, if not. But who the hell knows? But I agree. I think he's best suited as a cornerback in wide receiver packages. That's my thought. Agree. So next up on the clock, we have the New England Patriots. So now I'm upset as a Patriots fan because I wanted one of these two gentlemen, Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. I'm waiting for one of these guys to drop, hoping that either the Cleveland Browns or the New York Giants select one of these two quarterbacks, or one of the quarterbacks, mainly Shedeur Sanders, right? That did not occur here. I don't believe it's going to occur in real life either. I sure hope it doesn't as a Giants fan. What I believe is going to happen here is that they're going to go to a major team need. Their franchise quarterback selection of last year, Drake May, spending so much time on his back. The gentleman that I believe is the top-rated offensive lineman in the nation, despite the criticism on his shorter arms. We've seen him do it and do it well at a high level down at LSU. So without further ado, with the fourth pick of the 2025 NFL mock draft, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. What do you gentlemen think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Drake May needs some protection. Best offensive tackle in the draft. I think it's a great pick. And if there's any chance that Travis Hunter falls to them at 4, that's who I'd be taking to help Drake May out again.
Oh, of course, without question,
absolutely 1,000%,
without question. The Jaguars are now on the clock. So,
Now,
I
real
think
quick,
this
Mike,
is-
do you
yes.
think that that was a bit of a reach for the Patriots?
So, no, I don't. I think that you have two really good offensive tackles in this draft. And then after that, like it drops off. And I think that they're in such desperate need to get the ball moving on that. Listen, as a New York Giants fan, I know all about offensive line problems. And if you can't do anything that's going to help protect your quarterback, keep him upright so you can move the ball downfield, it doesn't matter where else you go. So I think that the safe pick after the Travis Hunter selection is no longer available, you go with the Will Campbell or Armand Membo, the tackle out of Missouri, whichever they like best. I think that is a good selection here at the 4 pick. Did you think that there's someone else that they should have considered? MJB?
Say that again.
Do you think that there's someone else that they should have considered?
No. I was just asking. Just based on, the whole short arm thing. People are making it a huge deal, and we both know like how effective that can or kind of hinder his ability in the NFL. But he's done it on the college level, and he's done it at a high level. So I think it can translate. But that was my only concern. I didn't know if you had him lower on your board just based off that, or did you have him as like your 4th rated player and it made sense for the Patriots to take him?
So I didn't have him as my 4th rated player, but I had him rated as my number 1 offensive lineman, just above Armand Membo. And the other players that were ahead of them were not much higher. Like we're talking a few selections higher. So here you're hitting one of the top players in the draft, one of the few players that could be a blue chip player in the draft, in my opinion, and he's also serving a team need. So I think it just makes the most sense.
Yeah. I can see that.
I like that. Well, with the 5th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking a surprise pick here. We're gonna go corner. Will Johnson, who's my number 1 cornerback on the board. I think that Will Johnson is a special player. I think he had a lot of hype earlier in the year and previous years, and for some reason he's being talked about less with all these other guys. I think he's one of the best players on defense coming out in this draft. They need a stud. I really like Will Johnson, and I think he's a go-getter.
I love this pick. Unfortunately, I don't believe that this is going to happen. I personally think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are just notorious as a franchise to go for the big man defensive tackle. I think that they probably would have taken Mason Graham here from Michigan, who's one of the top players in the draft, very safe. But I do think that this is a fantastic pick. I think that all 3 of us agreed that he's, for as high as a ranked player as he's in the draft, we all think he's underrated. And so I think that he's going to have a big impact on whatever team he goes to. I really like this pick. I think it's a great selection.
Yeah.
Listen, he's one of my favorite players in the draft. Whether he goes here or not, I don't understand. I watch his film and I'm gushing all over just watching him make plays. His instincts are incredible. I know some people are concerned that he may have a health issue, but he showed up at the pro day and was fluid, throughout the drill. So I don't think there's much concern there. I do think that Jacksonville may have had other needs, but this is a stellar player, so it's not a bad move at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it was a good pick. I think that.
I think that the Jaguars are also one of the teams that need one of the players that are the most sure things. They need impact now, and I think that Will Johnson brings that to your defense.
Well, if you want, I can play devil's advocate because I think that one of the most sure players, or so they say, is Mason Graham, who is sitting there and he's their top need.
Yeah, it was between him and.
So that if you want the most sure player, I would have went with the Mason Graham pick, but I like the pick because I think that he's underrated in the Will Johnson pick personally. So I still love the pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock.
I think we know where this is going.
All right, listen, man.
Hey, don't
Raiders, you got. What was that?
Don't mess this up.
Oh, trust me, I won't. Listen, you get Pete Carroll back with the Raiders. You know what he likes to do. He is a run first guy. I'm gonna give him a workhorse. Okay, not overthinking it. We're gonna go with the stud running back out of Boise State. With the 6th pick in the draft, I have the Los Angeles Raiders selecting Ashton Genty, running back, Boise State.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely love that. Listen, I know
It's
you know
no
for
brainer.
I agree. For those who are big into the draft, have been following Mel Kiper, who's the top draft analyst for years, right, from ESPN. He has this whole notion that he does not believe in ever taking a running back in the first round. So he said that he has him as like the third or fourth best player ranked in this draft, but he will not take. He refuses to take him at any point in the first round because of his logic and how he drafts. I think that's ridiculous. If you have a player that can be such an impactful player and use it as a weapon on your team, you saw what Saquon Barkley did against a competent with a competent line last year with the Eagles, being picked by the Giants top 5 in the past. Ashton Janty is an absolute animal. I cannot wait to see what he does for the Raiders. And just think about what Marshawn Lynch did for Pete Carroll in Seattle. He's gaining that same type of player who has the potential to be even better. Love this pick.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. There's actually nothing left said. This is the right pick, 100%.
All right. Well, the New York Jets are now on the clock. Looking at this, I, as the New York Jets general manager, am saying to myself, wide receiver class is very deep with no one that's super, super, super impactful, blue chip, high caliber, where I feel comfortable taking them at 7. So any wide receiver selected at 7 overall in this draft is most definitely a reach for me. Tight end here, Tyler Warren out of Penn State is very, very, very appealing, intriguing. However, I'm not confident in everything based off of the fact that he refused to do any type of testing. I don't like that at all. So now what I'm going to do
Testing
is
in terms of combine.
Yeah, he didn't do any combine testing. He never ran a 40. He didn't do any jumping. He didn't do anything. He did absolutely nothing. And
I see the perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So is he still going to be a great player in this league? More than likely. However, I'm going to play it safe here with the other top tackle in the NFL draft, and we are going to likely go here. Now, again, the Tyler Warren pick I was debating on, but I think that it's a safer pick. And with that being said, the New York Jets select Armand Membo, offensive tackle out of Missouri.
I think it's a good pick. I mean, they obviously need extreme help on the offensive line. Yeah, I mean, it fills their needs, it fills their gaps. I would be the first one to take a surprise pick that everybody would hate in this selection.
Who are you thinking?
I'm thinking the New York Jets don't have a quarterback, and they go with Shador here if they like him.
Wow! Hey, listen,
that's what I'm thinking.
Would have been exciting.
I think the Jets go for Shador Sanders. They have Justin Fields, who's not proved himself. He has an opportunity to, but who else? Like, they don't have a future quarterback here. If they like Shador Sanders, I think this is a team that takes him, and they get their quarterback. Right?
Yeah,
that's what
I don't hate the pick, and I think that the New York market would be a big one for Shador. He can handle the market, so I like that pick a lot. I would likely, like if I was a Jets fan and that happened, I would get excited a little bit for that. I think it's the more
absolutely
flavorful pick. I know that taking Armand Membo is certainly not the most exciting. However,
No,
I think
I
it's the best.
understand it. I
It's
mean,
the best
listen,
pick.
we're both New York Giants fans. It's been more exciting to draft offensive linemen when it works out for us. Obviously, it hasn't.
Yeah,
So I understand it. There's still some excitement there. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree
yeah,
100%.
for sure. So the Carolina Panthers, this is
With that
interesting.
said, yeah, Carolina Panthers have a lot of needs to fill. I actually know that Will Johnson's off the board, but this is another spot where I could see Will Johnson going on the opposite side of JC Horn, just have an unbelievable secondary. Their defense needs help.
Yeah, yeah.
In with that being said, they could go with a lot of different avenues here. Um, but as the Carolina Panthers again did not have any pass rush, I am going to take Jalen Walker, outside linebacker, Georgia. I think that you know who I really wanted to take here was James Pierce out of Tennessee. I really like him, but his off the field issues is where he's slipping for me. And I think Jalen Walker is
Yeah,
a more well rounded, player overall. So
I completely agree. He is an absolute animal on tape. However, for me, I am not going to chance the pick with him. I think that this is a safer pick. I think it's one that we're likely to see this upcoming Thursday, and so as a result, I think it's a good pick. I do. I got nothing else to say other than that.
yeah, absolutely, I
You know,
agree. I mean, yeah, 100%. I think
so
that, yeah, no,
yeah.
I agree.
So the New Orleans Saints, right? This is one that's very exciting. So now there are quarterbacks that have fallen. The top two corners in our top, big board, both Walker and Travis Hunter are gone. I think that knowing the players that just came off the board, who's left, who's fallen to me, I just said to you that, I don't feel strongly about this wide receiver class. So now I'm looking at Mason Graham, who's fallen still on the board. We're likely going to go to Jacksonville. You could also see him go to Carolina. So if he's here, do I take him? And I am thinking about it heavily. I am heavily
Yeah.
thinking about it. However, with that being said, I'm going to have to go the other way, keep things interesting. And I think with Derek Carr's current history, I don't take any more chances. And we start trying to turn this franchise around. So, with the 9th pick in the draft, the New Orleans Saints select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. This is a very exciting.
I think that the Saints are. I don't think the Saints are going to pass on Shedeur if he falls to them. I think that I like Shedeur Sanders for the Jets. I don't know why. I know a lot of mock drafts have him going for the Saints. If he's taken, do you consider Jackson Dart the number 9 spot for the New Orleans Saints? I'm just curious.
So, I think that's an awesome question. I would. And this is why I'm saying that. I think that right now, regarding team needs, and I'm a big pick best player available over team needs, I am not high on most of these quarterbacks in this draft. Like, I am really not high on them. And I am on my personal board, I actually have Jackson Dart rated higher than Shedeur Sanders. Not by much, but by a smidgen. I think that they're both like 2A, 2B to Cam Ward. And after that, Tyler Shook is very, very talented. I'm just not as high on him. And for me, I'm just going to say, if you think that Jackson Dart is your guy and you have conviction on him, you got to take him. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't know if it's too much of a reach being the ninth spot in the draft. It's not a heavy quarterback class. But I mean, of course, if you think he's your guy, you got to take him. I just don't know if it's too much of a reach at that point.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Most people are going to say it's a reach, right? Most people said that Mike Penix was a reach. Most people said,
That's
that.
true.
So I think that if you have conviction on him and they're really in trouble with the quarterback, I mean, what are you going to do? You can trade for, a veteran and Kirk Cousins and take on that insane contract. And so it's like you could, but right now, if Derek Carr can't play, you need to fill this position. And Jackson Dart, guys like Eli Manning saying that he thinks that he's the top guy in the draft, broke all his records. He throws the prettiest ball in the draft, in my opinion. I'm a big fan. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I do like it. Sure. Moving on, we got the Chicago Bears. They have offensive line. It's interesting that they have the offensive line as one of their needs still. I'm not saying that their offensive line doesn't have needs, but I also believe that the Chicago Bears are one of the teams that made the biggest offensive line impacts throughout free agency. They signed multiple players, multiple guys. I'm not saying that they can't draft offensive line, but since they've had such an improvement over the offseason, I'm going to focus on other needs. And at this point, Mason Graham, who we've mentioned is going to be the most sure thing on defensive tackle coming out of college, I think it's a no-brainer. And I think that that's a really big need for them. And they'll get some weapons for Caleb Williams later on in the draft, whether it be offensive line or another receiver. But I think this is it's a need that they need to fill.
I agree. I totally agree. As a 49ers executive, I'm very upset about this because I'm thinking that Mason Graham's going to fall out of the top 10 to me at 11, and I'm going to grab him. And I really wanted that. Didn't happen. But and one thing I'm curious though, like for me, if I was in your shoes, totally understand the pick. It's the safest pick. That talent falling all the way down to 10, you got to take it. Are you considering an Omarion Hampton running back out of UNC at this pick at 10, considering that we know how they ran the offense in Detroit, and now they're going to be running a similar offense. They need someone at that running back position. I mean, are you going to take a guy like that, or hey, listen, this running back class is so freaking stacked?
I was just going to say that this running back class is so stacked that if you have a player like Mason Graham that's going to make such an impact, you can look at the running back in round 2 or maybe even round 3, depending on who's there. So
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, sure, would it be great to have one of the other top running backs? Yeah, but there's so many good running backs that can make such a big impact for your offense in this draft that, I mean, this is a huge player for your defense. I don't think you can pass up on him.
I agree. And personally, if I'm the Chicago Bears, I'm doing exactly what you said. I just want to know the question because I'm a huge Omarion Hampton fan. I think he's the clear-cut number 2 after JT goes. However, if the cards don't fall the way they did, right? Say Mason Graham goes earlier, both offensive linemen are gone, then I'm actually considering Omarion Hampton at 10. But knowing that Mason Graham fell to 10, you just can't pass up on the talent.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree.
So now at the 11th pick, the San Francisco 49ers are up. Now we have some needs. Like I said, Mason Graham coming off the board, very upset. I could go Omarion Hampton based off of what I just said. Right now, with that being said, I still think I need to.
You're thinking even the possibility with Christian McCaffrey being there due to injury.
Correct. And Jordan Mason is no longer on the team. So the running back position needs to be addressed in San Francisco like in this draft. There is no question it needs to be addressed. However, I do think that there's another guy that we're going to see come off the board early. He's not as well talked about. However, after we did some film study on him, we were all big fans. This guy is lightning fast, can bend. They have to replace, that once stellar defensive line that could get after the quarterback. They need to start doing that again in San Francisco. So with that being said, With the 11th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Mike Green, defensive end out of Marshall. Now,
I gotta say, this kid surprised me when I watched his
me
film.
too.
I was like, whoa, why? I agree. Why is he not being talked about a lot more? Because he looks like a stud.
Completely agree.
Unbelievable. He's got speed. He's very aware. I agree.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah,
And
completely.
I personally, I think that he is. I think that this is earned. Like people, I might think that this is a reach at 11. I disagree. I think that you're going to have after Abdul Carter goes right, and then we talked about the edge and guys like Walker coming off the board, but James Pierce. This is a guy that would be going earlier on here. Shamir Stewart. He's also a guy that.
I would have probably gone with Shamir Stewart over Mike Green, but I can give an argument for this pick. So,
listen, it was just the sack production for me. The Shamir Stewart, on Thursday, I think it's even more likely for him to go. I just had Mike Green just slightly above Shamir Stewart because of the lack of sack production. He just didn't finish Shamir Stewart last year, and for me, that has him just a shade below Mike Green. So, without a doubt, I think that the next edge rusher off the board will for sure be Shamir Stewart. But for me, I think Mike Green earned this pick at 11.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't hate the pick at all. Like you can't hate the pick.
Yeah.
You really can't. So,
yeah,
no, I agree. I like the pick.
And now the Dallas Cowboys are up at 12.
Yeah, so the Dallas Cowboys here, I think that there's a lot of different directions they could go. But zeroing in on really a few of the positions that I think they want to make a spark in another way to help out this offense. I think that they want to help out playoff football Dallas Cowboys. Their problem with the Dallas Cowboys getting to the playoffs, they have not been successful in other years. How can they push this team to the next limit to become more successful? And I think that's by making a huge impact player on this offense, taking Omarion Hampton at running back. And he's an amazing player, helping out Dak Prescott. You already have CeeDee Lamb. I don't see how you pass up on him. I wanted to go with a receiver, but with him being here at Omarion Hampton, I can't pass up on him. I don't think to make an impact for Dallas in the postseason, someone else that can carry the rock and move it if Dak's not playing well.
Dude, I love it so much that I hate it so much. As a Giants fan, this is so painful, and this kid is going to be so good. The only thing that could have been worse is an Ashton J&T going there. I think that this is something that the Dallas Cowboys will not pass up. He moves it. The Dallas Cowboys are always notorious for having a good running back. Okay, they need to get back to that, and they haven't in the last few seasons. This is going to be their guy, and it's going to be a generational franchise running back that they're going to be able to play all three downs. He's going to be able to catch out of the backfield. He's going to be able to block and pass pro. I love the pick. It's unfortunate for the Giants, but I think it's going to be good. So
I agree.
They got a good one here for sure. So we're looking at the Miami Dolphins are now up with the 13th pick. This is an interesting one. Okay, this is an interesting one.
I know.
Because, listen, if I'm the Miami Dolphins and there's any phone calls coming up, right, I'm gonna listen. Do I want to trade back here? I think that we're starting to get away from these higher blue chip calibers in this first round. Do I want to sit here and make a selection, or do I want to collect picks? There's guys like at safety, right? We lost one of our blue chip players at safety this offseason. Do I want to fill that role? I think that any offensive lineman at this point at 13 could be a reach. You have guys, like Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman, 13. I'm not seeing it. Now could we see another defensive lineman go here? Possibly. However, I think that you just sit here and take the best player available, get another weapon for Tua, something that is going to really help move the chain, something that we saw, believe it or not, in that high-powered offense, it got stagnant. So we're going to prevent that from happening again this year. And with that being said, with the 13th pick, the Miami Dolphins select Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. I think that this is a no-brainer here. I mean, we have a need at tight end. This is one of the top players in the draft. He's not supposed to fall out of the top 10. I mean, I love the pick. What are your and don't forget the Indianapolis Colts are in dire need of one. So, we don't know who's higher on their board. Is it Tyler Warren? Is it Colston Loveland? Me, I have Tyler Warren first. I think that he's going to be a stud. Despite what I said earlier with the testing, if all goes well, he will be a stud in this league. I think this is a great pick for them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad pick, right? I think that he's an impact player. He can make an impact for this offense. He can help Tua out. I don't dislike the pick at all. In recent rumors, I've been hearing a lot more about the Miami Dolphins looking to shop Jalen Ramsey. I actually think that the Miami Dolphins go corner if there's a top corner that they love at this pick. That would be my only other argument. But I don't dislike the pick. It's, you're taking the best player available, so I don't disagree with it at all. Now, on the flip side, as mentioned, being the Indianapolis Colts, I am possibly devastated, just like you said, if Tyler Warren was their tight end on their board. That's definitely unfortunate because a tight end is huge impact for them. They do not have a tight end. And to fill the gap there, we are taking the best tight end available, who's also listed as the best player available still in this draft, in Colston Loveland, tight end Michigan, which you just mentioned. So who knows? They might have him listed ahead of Tyler Warren, but yeah, I think he's an impact player. The Colts need a lot of help on offense. So, yeah.
I completely agree. I think that this is a good pick. I think that, if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm devastated because I wanted Tyler Warren, but Colston Loveland is also a highly ranked tight end. I think the best player available also meets need here. So you're just taking whoever's remaining. And I think you did a great job with it. I think that that's someone that I would also take there. I can't come up with a better pick in that scenario.
Yeah, for sure. I think it fits their needs. You're taking, best player available. Yeah, I think it fits really well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And now the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. This is an interesting one because despite what this team's needs are historically, they just draft whoever the hell they want at random. I would not be surprised.
I mean, you could say that, but it worked out really well with Kirk Cousins playing.
Yes, no, but I'm not just saying this year, right? I'm saying in previous years too. This team does not pick guys in the first round on defense. Look at all those needs: edge, defensive line, cornerback, yes, offensive line, and then safety. So more than likely, despite needing to go defense, they are going to select a receiver. I don't know, but I will say this: I'm going to go with who I think is the best player on the board for their need. We're getting to an area where in this draft now with our top, 50, things are starting to get gray. There's no definitive top guys. I feel good about this selection. I think that we just discussed the Mike Green pick and how good he was. So, I think that if they do what they're supposed to, they get some help with the pass rush, they'll be successful. So with that being said, the Atlanta Falcons select Shamar Stewart, defensive end, Texas A&M. So I love the pick. I think that they finally get it right. All right. I think that the GM in Atlanta was on the hot seat after making the pick last draft. It wound up working out. I think that now that he did his thing, he goes back and he's like, all right, well, we have some pieces in place on offense. We said it. The wide receiver class, the running backs, it's very deep. You don't need to jump and take one in the first round. Stewart is a great pick here at 15. Some mocks have him even going in top 10 in the late top 10. I think that this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's great.
So you like Shamar Stewart over Michael Williams?
Yes.
Yes. Say no more.
Yeah. How dare you?
So Michael Williams is, I'm going to go. So we have our different boards here. And I have on my personal board, Michael Williams is ranked dead last of the top 7 defensive ends. I didn't even go beyond that because there will not be more than 7 defensive ends taken in the first round. He is dead last. If he goes in the first round, I hope he goes to either the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Commanders, or the Philadelphia Eagles, because I do not believe he's going to have the production that he's being made out to be. He does not bend. He was in the right place at the right time, which there is value in that, right? Reading the plays. I thought he was slow on his film. I did not like it. What are your thoughts on him?
Listen, he has the body frame of a guy who could potentially pan out in the NFL. I just wasn't wowed by his tape, man. I'd watch it. Nothing special. I think he's a Jag.
He is a Jag. For those of you who don't know what the Jag is, just a guy. He's just
I wouldn't
a
want
guy.
him on my team. I'll tell you that. I wouldn't want him on my team. So,
Right. That's why you stick him on someone else in the division.
Exactly. That's why I wanted the Falcons to take.
Great minds think alike on that one.
Listen, you're selling him short. I don't think he's one of the top pass rushers, but Georgia breeds pass rushers, so I'm just curious to see how he develops in the NFL.
You see, I don't agree with that statement, though.
I do.
Jalen Walker should have been an absolute stud, picked first overall. What's he done? Right? They're coming out of a fantastic defensive system, and I think that's what gives these guys so much success. Coming up when we're talking about edge rushers out of Georgia. MJB, what are your thoughts on that one?
And between him and Jalen Walker?
No, just in general.
Pass rushers from Georgia?
Chris thinks that Georgia breeds pass rushers, and I said I disagree. I think that they're part of the system.
They have a great defense. They have a great defense.
They do. I just don't know how much it translates to the league.
Yeah, it's hard because Chris is right. Like, I mean, when you have such a stacked defense, you're not going to produce as much because everyone's like elite on the defense, right? So everyone's getting to the ball. You don't have as many opportunities. But I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I watched this film. I try to convince myself, especially when I heard that the Panthers were considering him. So I was like, all right, well, let me watch film on this guy. And I watched more film and more film. And I was like, I just turned it off because I was like, he's not. I just don't see it. Maybe someone can get that potential out of him in the league. But I didn't see much of that in the while he was in college. I didn't see much of that. So I'm hesitant to see if that actually translates. Because, man, if you're not dominating, and you're right, that is a dominant defense. But if you're not putting up numbers, I don't know. I'm just always worried about guys like that. I don't want to just take a guy based on potential.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
I've seen that story way too many times.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Fair.
Completely
All right,
agree.
so moving on to the Arizona Cardinals at number 16. They have a lot of needs to fill. They do have offensive line issues year after year. But given that they have the offensive line issues, they just drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, who I still think he's going to develop into an unbelievable player. But why not give your quarterback another weapon opposite side him? One of my favorite receivers in the draft at Matthew Golden. Let's go. I mean, do you hate it?
I do not hate it. I do not hate it at all.
No.
I actually like it. That's a really, really intriguing move. I like that.
I can see this actually happening. I really
Yeah,
can. I could see
I
this
mean,
happen. I could totally see this happening.
They need to bring this offense to another level, and this is how they're going to do it right now. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
with
I mean,
weapons on weapons.
I
The
can see
thing
it
is,
happening.
if they're, I feel like their O line is so bad that
It is so
if
bad.
if you can't fix an O line, then you got to find some receivers you can get the ball out quick. That's why I don't hate it, because it's like, well,
Yep.
can he win quick? Can we get the ball out of his hands? We know Kyler Murray's mobile, so maybe listen. It worked for the Bengals, right? The Bengals had a terrible O line for so long; they just have stud receivers. They were able to make it work. So it potentially can work. Yeah, I don't hate the pick.
No, I agree. I do agree. I am wondering when the hell they're going to fix that offensive line though, because
Yeah, I agree.
my God, it's just it needs to happen because Kyler Murray's career is going to be over, and they're still trying to figure it out. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It really is crazy.
I understand that. I just think that, again, best player available. I don't think this is a reach this far in the draft. I think he's going to grow into a great player. And I think it's going to help their offense to evolve big time.
Yep, I agree.
So now we have the Cincinnati Bengals on the clock. Their team needs our edge, safety, linebacker, O-line, and corner. Whew. I think the best player on the board, in my opinion, at this point, despite having off the field issues, is going to fill a need for them and give them a spark that they're looking for. So without further ado, the 17th pick in the NFL 2025 draft. Let me go back. Sorry. I have the Bengals taking delayed. James Pierce, DN, Tennessee.
Amazing.
Listen, history has shown their defense has not been great, right? You go ahead and pair him up with Trey Henderson. I think you get immediate pressure up front, and we all know a great D line can help the secondary that is not that great. So this would be provides an immediate need, provides an immediate boost to their defense, and kind of gets them out of that bottom tier for their defense in the league. So I love the pick.
Yeah, I love this pick. I know he's got off the field problems. You're sitting at 17. Cincinnati Bengals are screaming to make an impact on that defense. I do think this is a great opportunity to take a chance on a player that can be, sensational. I think he's going to be really good. Again, off field problems could be an issue, but I think that he's going to be really good.
Yeah, if he can stay on the field, he'll be good. I mean, if he stays on the field, you cannot argue this pick. I probably would have went with the safer pick with Jahad Campbell, a linebacker from Alabama. I think that he's going to be an absolute stud as well, just because of the fact that I know that he's going to be on the field. But if in fact James Pierce stays on the field and can get his head right, I think that this is going to be an absolute savage of a pick without question, because we all talked about it. After Abdul Carter, you can make arguments that he's the number 2 guy.
Correct.
Right. He's a number 2 edge rusher. So that's why he's fallen to 17. And he might fall further on Thursday because of those off the field issues. But I think it's a good pick, Mike. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's a great pick.
So here I am, and I'm trying to pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Offensive line, I'm just not doing it. I told everyone in the beginning of the show, right? After Campbell and Membo go, I'm not liking what I'm seeing, in the offensive line until a little bit later. And, it's not a very strong wide receiver class. I could go safety. There's a couple different things I'm thinking about here, but the wide receiver run did begin with my favorite receiver coming off the board in Golden from Texas just earlier. So as a result, I'm saying to myself, well, I just lost my manimal of a receiver, who's now in Pittsburgh with no quarterback, and I need to replace him. So I'm going to take, with further ado, McMillan. Now, McMillan is a very intriguing receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
Tall, big body, knows how to use his body to go up and get the ball. However, he doesn't create separation like I like him to. I think that he's ranked higher on more boards than my own. However, I think that the team need fitting best available here makes the most sense. I have him as my number 3 receiver overall. Golden being 1, Luther Burden number 2, and
Yeah.
McMillan number 3. That's how I have him ranked. But with Luther Burden's injury history and McMillan's size and needing to fill the shoes of DK Metcalf, I think that this is the best pick for the Seattle Seahawks at 18.
I absolutely love this pick.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Falls to 18, I think that it's a no-brainer pick. Like
I
after all
agree.
the changes they had at a wideout, like there can't be anything else but this pick if he's there. So yeah,
Completely agree.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great pick. I do. And Sam Darnold getting some weapons.
I keep forgetting he's there.
Yeah, I had to say it. So you're looking at me like, who's this guy talking about?
I keep forgetting he's there, man.
So
This guy's
crazy.
been all over.
Yeah, he has. So crazy.
All right, so on the clock, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Basically, their needs are the entire defense, according to this list. We got linebackers, corners, edge, safeties. So we're definitely making an impact here on defense. I believe that. So before, or I'm going to skip Travis Hunter because you could list him as a wide receiver too. But strictly speaking, corners, I think I like Will Johnson the best as a corner in this draft. A lot of other guys have Jahdae Barron also competing for the spot. So I like some of these guys. And with further ado, I think that Tampa Bay can't pass up on Jahdae Barron slipping this far in the draft at corner. I think he's going to make a impact, and he fills their needs. I mean, their whole defense is holes on holes on holes. So that's where I'm at there. I think that he's going to be an impact player, and some people have him ranked higher than Will Johnson on their board. So if that's the case and he slips this far, I don't see how they pass him on him.
Chris, 1,000%, dude. 1,000%. The Tampa Bay Bucks, they need secondary help. They haven't had it in quite some time.
Yep.
Carlos is no longer there, so I don't even know who are their corners. I don't even know if Jamel Dean's still there. You couldn't tell me anybody else on the roster after that at corner. So, yeah, I think it fills a need, and it was top player available. I think they'd run to the podium if this guy was there.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Totally
it's
agree.
a great fit. And yeah, if he slips this far in the draft, it's a no-brainer.
Okay, with that being said, we got the Denver Broncos at number 20 on the clock. So their needs are running back, wide receiver, corner, tight end, and D-line. I'm looking at my big board here, and I noticed that there hasn't been a run just yet on running backs. I know it's coming at some point in the draft. It hasn't happened yet. So I can wait, get one potentially in the second round. So at the moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for wide receiver. And with that being said, with the 20th pick and the 2025 NFL draft, the Denver Broncos select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. Okay. You pair him up with Cortland Sutton. I think you give the quarterback ample help, and we know he needs it. He's going into his second year. I think that this could potentially impact his growth and allow him to do more for that offense. He fits the build of Sean Payton, right? Like he's one of the receivers that's going to grind, work hard to get those extra yards. And I think he's going to be a great locker room guy. So I think it's an ideal fit for the entire team.
Yeah. I think the position pick is great. I personally like Luther Burden better. I would have went that route just because I just find him more intriguing. I think he's a more dynamic player. I think Igbuka's going to be the guy that, he's your possession receiver, reliable, which is good, but I don't see him. I don't know, man. Something about his tape. I don't value him in the first round. I just think that he's more of a second round guy.
Ice cold.
I'm being honest. Yeah, I'm being honest.
Cold.
I'm being honest. But I think that the position pick's great here. I think I probably would have went Luther Burden, my personal opinion. But either way, I think it's a good pick because that's the position that they need to get Bo Nix help.
No, I agree.
So next up on the clock,
interesting pick right here.
a lot of things I can do here, gentlemen. A lot of things I can do now. I'm looking at best available. Okay, and I agree. I don't think I need to take the running back yet. It is a definite need. Definite need. However, this is very, very deep at running back. So I think I can wait. Now, I am a big Donovan Ezeraku fan at Boston College. So I am considering this pick here. But our edge players are pretty good. We need a little more interior defensive line help. So I'm not going to go that route. I could go Derek Hammond, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Did consider that. However, knowing that I have a dramatic need at quarterback, and I have the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants selecting very soon at the beginning of the second round, they could trade back in to grab another quarterback. I think that that's the move that I'm going to have to make. So without further ado, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Mississippi.
I love this pick.
I personally took my bias and selected Jackson Dart here. Now, if I believe that if this occurs tomorrow night, it will be Tyler Shook and not Jackson Dart. The reason being is that the measurables of Tyler Shook, I believe, are much more comparable to a Ben Roethlisberger. Big body, mobile, hard to take down. But Jackson Dart, he's also mobile. He's got a beautiful arm, throws the deep ball, I think, better than anyone in this class. And I have him ranked very, very high. This kid, I think, is a first-round talent. So I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going Jackson Dart versus a Tyler Shook. What are your guys' thoughts?
I don't think there's a comparison, only because I really like Jackson Dart. I know some other people have him higher than Shador, maybe even higher than Cam Ward, depending. I think this is an amazing pick. I don't know how you consider another quarterback over Jackson Dart this late in the draft without the other Cam Ward and Shador Sanders being taken. I think it's a no-brainer. Great fit. And I think it would be great if the Pittsburgh Steelers could sign Aaron Rodgers and the kid gets to sit behind him for a year.
Yeah, that could happen.
I like the pick. I do like him over Tyler. Isn't Tyler apparently? I think Tyler's played like 7 seasons in college, and he's like 26 or something.
Yeah, he's like Brandon Whedon all over again. He's gonna be 20. He's either 20. He's gonna be 26 or 20.
I don't know if I like that, man. I don't know if I like that.
I didn't say I would take him. That's why I took Jackson Dart. I'm just going off of what I'm hearing. You know what I mean? It's more or less what I'm hearing. But yeah.
These guys, I think they're giving them too much of a shell life now, man. Come on. What are we doing? You guys are going to be 28, 29 at some point still playing college. Bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So I'm completely with you. All right. This is going to be interesting.
I was having a little technical difficulty there. I think I had a little internet drop. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. You're good.
All right, yeah. Well, with the 22nd pick, the LA Chargers needs focusing on a lot of different things here, but I think we need to get Justin Herbert, another weapon, opposite side Lad McConkey, and we're going to go with Luther Bird and add some speed, add some really big help out to that offense. They focused on the offensive line last year. I know that they can still focus on more offensive line, but we need to get Justin Herbert more weapons and they got to get
I
this
love
offense
it, too.
moving. And I think it's going to be great.
Luther. That's a great pick, man.
It is a good pick. I like it a lot. I'm a fan.
Herbert needs it, so that's
badly.
big time.
So badly.
It's hard to judge him because I'm like, well, who are you throwing to?
Yeah,
so
it's true. It's true.
I completely agree. So I'm loving this pick. I really am. I think this is a great selection.
Yeah. All right. So now we have Green Bay Packers on the clock. Their current needs are cornerback, wide receiver, edge, D line, and O line. So looking at my board here. Get off my screen. Okay. I think that looking at my board, I gotta go with who's still on the board, right? I'm not gonna shy from that. I'm not gonna overthink it. It may not be a pressing need at the moment, but I'm gonna turn in my ticket, and here we go. So with the 23rd pick in the NFL 2025 draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jahad Campbell, inside linebacker, Bama. Listen, he was on the board. It's not a current need, but there is no way I continue to let this type of talent just slide. We had him 11 on our big board, and he falls to 23. It's not even about need at this point. It's just best player available. Just put the ticket in. We'll figure out where to play him, and yeah, we get a stud at linebacker.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. It kind of, I don't know why, it gives me like Clay Matthews vibes of like getting a nice linebacker that the Packers have had, and longevity at the linebacker position. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I think that this is a safe pick. I think that it's one that is I agree with Chris what he just said. They need a staple in that position. Now that's interesting. Even though I have the next pick, the 24th pick, it seems like the Houston Texans just took my pick. Ain't that interesting? Well, I guess we're gonna have to go somewhere else. All right. Well, ain't that something? Well, Houston Texans have the right idea in mind. I wanted to go with the offensive lineman and go with the next best tackle, but we're going to go guard instead, ladies and gentlemen. How funny thing how my mind just was changed like that. Couldn't tell you. So with the next pick, the Minnesota Vikings select interior offensive lineman Tyler Booker, Alabama. Now, I was originally going to go with a tackle here, Banks from Texas, who is the next best tackle on the board. But in the moment of my selection, I decided, you know what? Tyler Booker, he is, in fact, the next best offensive lineman on the board. So I feel better about this pick. I think that it would have been a reach for the tackle. So I didn't go by position. I picked best player available. I didn't pick by position ranking. Okay. So Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman, the best interior offensive lineman in this draft from Alabama, goes to the Minnesota Vikings. They need to be able to protect their rookie quarterback in JJ McCarthy. I think that this is a safe pick. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts? What do you think, particularly of switching last minute from tackle to interior lineman?
I think you don't have a choice when they're not on the board.
I was really thinking it too, guys. Oh my God.
All right. Well, with that being said, all right.
Let's see who I can't imagine who the Houston Texans might be taking here. It must be an offensive lineman.
With that being said, Houston Texans are going offensive line.
No way. It's like they knew.
Oh my God. Kelvin Banks
crying tears.
So what is it about Kelvin Banks that made you so eager to take him in the selection? Because I clearly passed up on this gentleman. What were your thoughts on Kelvin Banks here as the general manager of the Houston Texans?
Well, it's clear that for some reason other people have him on his board over Will Campbell from LSU as the second tackle in the league. I don't know how he's dropped.
That's wild.
Or 25. And Kelvin Banks is going to play an impact, and CJ Stroud needs it because he is getting destroyed.
Yeah, I mean,
I like it.
Well said. Well said.
Oh man, that is too funny.
I mean,
okay, so
what we got?
With that being said, right now we have the Los Angeles Rams on the clock. Pick number 26. Their needs: linebacker, corner, O-line, tight end, and wide receiver. I'll tell you, one of the fascinating players in this draft that during the draft process I really fell in love with. I know some teams aren't high on him, but I think this is a guy that can potentially help the Rams football team. So with that being said, with the 26th pick in the NFL draft, this always happens with this. I have the Rams selecting Maxwell Harrison, cornerback, Kentucky. This guy flashes and pops on the film. I know some see him as more of a zone corner, and not so much man. Yeah, and not so much man. But think about it, man. If he's on the Rams, they've worked to rebuild their D-line last draft. So you can plug him in and feel comfortable that you're not going to have to put him in a lot of man-to-man situations, knowing that D-line has been bolstered. So that's why I went with the pick. I think it immediately helps their defense. Their offense has gotten a lot better through the offseason. So I think, yeah, he gives them a piece to kind of help compete in that NFC.
Yeah, I think that this is a great pick. I think that after the first two corners come off the board, he's the next clear-cut number 3 option. And I think that this is a good value pick for this late in the first round. I think that he's probably going to be the last cornerback selected in the first round. I really don't see another one as first-round talent, in my opinion. So I think that this is he's falling right where I think he should go. And I like it. I do. I like the pick. I have no problems with it.
Yeah, great fit.
So the Baltimore Ravens, very interesting where I want to go with this. Now, their secondary was terrible. I don't know how else to say it. They were the weakest part of this entire team is their secondary. I always want to make sure that I'm shoring up their offensive line to protect. Our entire team is based off of the run. So if we can't get push up front, we can't have success. And I am considering going offensive line here. However, I think for me, value, I cannot pass up on the value. And the Baltimore Ravens are notorious for hanging back, letting talent fall to them. And it's like, how did this guy fall? How did this happen? And then they wind up selecting their guy. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not going to reach. I'm not going to go for a position of need. I'm going to go for one that I find a guy that I think is going to have a lot of production. Okay. And one of which could have been Derek Harmon, which if he goes here, I would not be surprised. Okay. The other will be this gentleman right here. The 27th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Donovan Ezaraku. This is a team that is constantly having to sign veterans to one-year deals at the edge position. And this guy is going to get it done. I think that he's one of the most underrated guys at the edge position in the draft. I know guys like Mel Kiper are extremely high on him. I think Mel might be higher on him than I am. But aside from Mel Kiper, I have not heard as big things about him from other analysts. I think that he's polished. I think he can get it done. I think that for the 27th pick, this is great value. And he just looks to me like a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, I think the reason Donovan Ezeraku is mentioned less than some of the edge rushers is because he's undersized compared to some of the other guys. He's still a big boy at 6'3" and 248 pounds, but if you compare him to some of the other top edge rushers off of the draft, they're much bigger than he is. So I think that's where some of the analysts are maybe having him slip a little bit, but I think this is a great pick. I agree. Like Baltimore Ravens, like you said, they are signing veterans at the DN position year after year to fill the gap. So I do like the pick where they need to find a guy that they can sign and make their edge rusher. I think he has a high ceiling, and again, I think his size is the reason why they're not talking about him. But he has great block shedding, and he's fast. He's really fast off the ball too. So
Yeah,
I think it's great. 16 and a half sacks in 2024. He was ranked number 2 in I think it might be sacks for edge defender. So it's an interesting pick.
when you get this late in the draft, you have to aim for BPA, best player available. You can't. There's no reason. There's no reason to reach. Like, these are payoff teams. You take what's best available, and he's there. He feels an immediate need. His immediate starter on the D line and helps that defense. I don't think you overthink that pick. You just kind of go with what's there. So I like the pick a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, if he doesn't go here, I think that the Lions are taking him next, right? So
for sure.
So you're getting a guy of talent, and that player, like, teams now this late in the draft are wanting to grab him. So you take him and you break some Detroit hearts in the process.
Yeah, this late in the round too, you still have like quality ends. We all know in the first round, teams covet quarterback, O-line, pass rushers. So the fact that you still have a pass rusher that was there and you're sitting this far back, like you're not even waiting. You know what I'm saying? You're tossing that card up there so they can say the name for you.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. With that being said, we're moving on to the Detroit Lions, which, just like you mentioned, Donovan Ezeraku was taken off the board. One of the edge rushers that I would have looked to take in this draft this late in the round if I'm the Detroit Lions. So I'm looking at what other edge rushers are around. I do like Mikael Williams, but I know that some of us are unsure of him. He can go either way. With that being said, I'm looking at a guy that's got a 4.40 time. He's 6'3". He's the number 1 safety in this draft, and I'm going with Nick Emmanwori from University of South Carolina. I think, like you said, you take the best player available. Mikael Williams in this late in the draft, I don't think he's the best player available for the Detroit Lions in terms of edge rushing, so I'm going safety here. You get the number 1 safety in college football.
So you like him? You like him over Malachi Starks?
It could go either way.
Or are you going based on potential?
There's potential. The thing that is interesting about Emmanwori is his size. He's 6'3". Malachi Starks is 6'1". He's jumps higher. He's faster. 40-yard dash time. Okay. It's just interesting. I think he's got a lot of size, and he's very athletic with that size. So
fair enough.
Yeah, I think he has a high ceiling, but yeah.
I like Malachi Starks. I think Emmanwori is also good. I think I have Malachi Starks ranked higher by an edge. And another safety that I have ranked much higher than most boards that, I know people think I'm crazy because I think he's going to play a little more of a box safety, but Andrew Makuba out of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am a huge fan of him. That guy, wherever the ball is, that's where he's at.
Lightning rod, yeah.
Dude, he's so exciting to watch. So, Malachi Starks, Emmanwori, and then for me, which I know is maybe not the main, common opinion, is having Makuba there. So for me, I think that all of these guys need to go end first, early second, or not maybe early to mid second round. I expect all 3 of them off the board.
Yeah.
If Makuba's falling to the end of the second round, early third round, that's, in my opinion, a complete steal.
Mm-hmm.
And he might do that just due to the fact that because of his position.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting closer to the end of the draft. With the 29th pick, we have the Washington Commanders on the board. Needs our edge, cornerback, wide receiver, safety, and O line. I honestly was looking down the big board, and my mouth was I was salivating at the mouth when I saw that this guy was still there. Surprised that he fell this low, but the fact that he did with the 29th pick in the NFL 2025 draft, the Washington Commanders select Michael Williams, DN Georgia. Yeah. Listen, we were there just like, are we gonna trade up? Are we gonna trade up? Are we gonna trade up? We waited patiently. The guy fell in our laps. Where he's gonna be a plug and play guy to our already stout defense, and hopefully with the pieces we made this offseason, including with him added to our defense, it takes us over the edge and we can dethrone the Philadelphia Eagles.
I know I didn't speak highly of him earlier. I think for where he's ranked and where we are in this draft, if he falls to 29, it's one of those where, like, I could totally see this happening. And I think that for value, I think it's a good pick. I still, it's crazy that I'm just so not appealed by his tape that I probably won't take him, but I think that it's because we're trying to emulate what's going to occur on Thursday. I think this is a fantastic pick.
I think it's a no-brainer too. I mean, a lot of guys have him potentially ranked fourth best pass rusher, and we're all the way down to what I think he might be the 7th pass rusher taken at this point. This late in the draft. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
Love it.
All right. So the Buffalo Bills, we're back here picking down in the very, very bottom of the draft once again. Am I going to pass up on another shore talent like I have in many years past when I shouldn't? I don't know. Maybe. But when looking at my needs and when looking at players available, this year I think I'm going to get it right. I waited. I sat here. I'm not going to trade back again like I always do. This player is one of the top defensive tackles in the draft. He's fallen to me now. I think it's a surefire pick. So without further ado, with the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, Oregon. It's another value pick, guys. Just like we talked about with Michael Williams. I mean, this is a need, and we're taking one of the best players off the board here. I think he falls probably due to the position. He's more of he's an interior defensive tackle, so you're going to see him potentially fall a little bit later, like it occurred this evening. But if he's sitting there at 30, I don't see how you pass up on a guy like him.
So do you think that there's a chance that you mentioned too earlier that you liked Malachi Starks as the best safety in the draft, that they would pass up on him at this point in the draft?
Yeah, I think overall on the big board, Derek Harmon just simply ranked a little bit higher than Malachi, but I think that you can go either way. You can make an argument that the defensive line class is a little bit deeper than safety. So if you wanted to go that route, you could go that route. But I just think that the Derek Harmon pick is a very safe one, and it's I'm going after a position that's technically of higher value.
Yeah, gotcha.
I agree with you, Mike. I think there's going to be a run on D-line on the draft this Thursday. I think that, especially on the bottom half of it, I just think that there's some quality pass rushers that if they go, it's a drop to the next tier of guys, and you don't want to miss out on one of those guys. So if they fall to you bottom of the first round, you have no choice but to take them.
Yeah, that's basically where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely agree.
Well, with that being said, the Kansas City Chiefs are now up on the board. They could go many different ways. We've already talked about Malachi Starks, which I think could be an exciting pick for the Kansas City Chiefs at this point in the draft. Get a really good safety who potentially, again, could be the number one safety in the draft. However, Patrick Mahomes was getting destroyed last year. I don't know if you guys recall that, but his offensive line.
So I feel like that was every year now.
I mean, his offensive
They're
line
never
was
protecting
terrible.
him. Yeah.
So at this point in the draft, I'm taking someone that can help protect who we obviously know is my franchise guy. I'm taking the best guard available, Gray Zabel. Patrick Mahomes needs help. I mean,
yeah, I like this pick.
Yeah.
I like this pick. It's
And
a safe one.
And I think Chris, I think they were hoping for a tackle, but they didn't get one, so they settled
definitely
for
hoping
the
for a
guard.
tackle. I agree. Their tackles were not playing great last year, and they lost them to other teams in the NFL, right? So I agree. I mean,
I think it just comes down to,
and the thing is this: Gray Zabel was a guard last year, but something intriguing that I'm looking into right now is that he played 41 games at left tackle and right tackle in college, so they could see if he's still a fit.
So yeah, some position versatility.
Yeah, he does have versatility, but I think anywhere you plug him in, he's going to be an impact because their offensive line was not up to par.
No, not at all. I think that offensive line here is a must. Unless a guy like Derek Carmen falls all the way down and they want to invest in him or a Nazaraku or Michael Williams. If one of those guys falls, they can take one of those players as well. I think that someone like that is going to be there. But I think it's a great pick. I think that you need to protect him. And at this point in time, is the talent at the tackle position good enough to pass up on a Gray Zabel? And I don't think so. So I think it's a great pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a big boy.
Well,
6'6", 312 pounds. A big boy.
Yeah. That is a big boy. All right. To wrap things up for our draft, I'll go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think that this is a trade back option, and I think that's what they want to do first and foremost. They don't have a lot of needs. Too. Yeah, they don't have a lot of needs, and I think there's going to be some quality guys at the end of the first round that some teams are intrigued by. So since we're not doing trades in this mock draft, I'm just throwing that nugget out there. So when it does happen,
100%.
remember your boy said it. But since we're sticking with the pick, just like Eagles fashion, man, right? Like they always are just sitting there hanging around, just seeing who's on the board, who's left. And there's always a guy that falls to them and they just are just like, all right, yeah, sure, we'll take them. And I think the same thing happens here. So with the 32nd pick in the NFL 2025 draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia. I think it's just fitting, man. This is what they do every year. I hate it.
Fitting. Yeah,
I hate it, but it always
Eagles
happens.
thing in the world.
Yeah,
and it's once again the Philadelphia Bulldogs. I mean, they love Georgia players. If he is there is no way they don't do this.
100%.
Listen, I agree with you. I think that there's going to be a team that wants to trade back into the first round, especially at 32, to get in front of both the Browns and the Giants. Or it is one of those two teams, the Browns and the Giants, to try to trade back in, not only to get ahead of the competing teams that want a quarterback, but if you get into the first round of the 32nd pick, just like the Baltimore Ravens did for Lamar, now you get the fifth-year option on that rookie contract for that quarterback if he becomes the guy. So I think that this is a very, very intriguing pick. Do not say, oh, the draft's over and be done. We are going to be watching this through all 32 picks on Thursday evening because a big-time trade could be occurring, like you said, Mike, at 32. And if not, this is going to be the pick that happens, and it's going to be devastating.
I think that even starts at 27. I think Baltimore, I think Detroit, I think Buffalo.
The Buffalo Bills love to do it. They always do.
They're all teams that can afford to get other guys. Because like this draft isn't top heavy, but there's still quality starters. So you could trade back, potentially pick up another pick and get another starter somewhere else. So those back five teams of the draft, I think, are ones to watch for on draft day.
Completely agree. I'd actually be surprised if a trade doesn't occur. I think the only thing that would prevent a trade from occurring is if basically all the quarterbacks go. If all the quarterbacks go, then maybe that one doesn't happen. But Other than that, yeah, I definitely see that happening. I'm very excited for Thursday, guys. I think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be boring. I think there's going to be a lot of jumping around, a lot of like, oh, what the hell is going to happen? We don't know what to expect. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's what makes it a great day.
A lot of tears, too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hopefully not ours, though.
Hopefully.
Well, that's going to wrap up today's show. We want to thank everyone for watching the 2025 NFL mock draft with the Doc Huddle. Stay tuned for upcoming review shows on the draft and what's to be coming up with the new season as everything unfolds. A lot of exciting news to come. For CJ, the sports enthusiast, Dr. MJB, the legend, I'm Dr. Mikey B. Until next time.